Beautiful. Recording. Here we go. Lovely. All right, guys. Well, welcome to the BFree Monday night call. Good to see all your faces on. I'm just scrolling through. Nice, good turnout tonight. Good to see everybody on here. I'm going to keep my bit short and sweet so we can leave maximum time for the love injection. So these guys, everybody knows the lovies, so they need no introduction. But I was having to think about what could be good for everybody to, I guess, learn a little bit or take a little bit away from this call. And I was thinking of what leaders could I talk to and all that sort of stuff. And then I realized these guys were spending 4 days with the big man himself, Tony Robbins. So I think if they can squeeze 4 days into half an hour, we'll probably be jumping up and down a little bit, I'd say. But I'm looking forward to hearing you guys try and squeeze what that man did for you into 30, 40 minutes. But yeah, thanks for taking the time to share some of the nuggets and the vibes that surely came out of that 4 days.
Yeah, sweet, mate. Thanks so much for having us on. And look, I know Lockie's been to this event before, and to try and emulate what we took away from that event is impossible. Number one tip straight away is make sure you get to one of these events. Like this is, you cannot explain exactly what we took away. We've obviously got lots of notes and our energy's super high. It can't not be, even though we were up from 8 a.m. one morning, at the event from 8 till 2:30 the following morning. That was one of the days, and this bloke charges the whole time, so we've certainly got nothing to complain about because it was, unbelievable. So we'll try our best to, give you guys some awesome tips that we took away from the weekend. You got to go see him though. Like you just have to, because it's completely changed our life. We've just spent another $27,000 on some more courses, and we'll explain a little bit more about that. I don't just chuck that out there to sound like a knob and drop that we've spent a heap of money, because it's definitely not about that. But I suppose to kick it off, and we hadn't discussed this, so I'll just roll with it a bit, but Tony's story obviously starts when he's a kid. I'm not going to go through all of that, but he took his finances from $38,000 one year to over $1 million the following year. And that's from spending money, learning and growing. So for us, the money's there. We were happy to spend 25 grand on a car. So why not spend it on developing ourselves and completely blowing our lives out of the water? Because when you put the two beside each other, we never bat an eyelid at spending it on possessions that do nothing for us, other than get us from A to B. So why not spend the money on, just completely changing our lives? So, look, that's a little bit of a kick-off to start. Did you have anything you wanted to share?
Just also on that, and you'll have to excuse my very hoarse voice. 4 days of not only dancing and jumping and clapping, but also lots of singing, shouting, and all sorts. So I feel amazing, but my vocal cords have definitely got a decent workout. And just on that as well, what Lovey was saying was that it made me realize as well, like I spent that amount of money to become a PE teacher, but my level of reaching the number of people who we would love to impact in this life was limited. And, I spent that money, again, without batting an eyelid, on a PE degree to then have a capped income, on 40-hour weeks for the next 40 years, and not have the life skills that we now have. And we're obviously going to do our best to share a bit with you guys. And look, I remember, I know Lockie went to UPW, so Unleash the Power Within, that's what the course was called that we went to. And the same thing, like Lockie was amazing at explaining bits and pieces, but it's like, you've just got to get there. And we're going to explain why, because not only are we trying to cram 4 days into 30 minutes, Tony Robbins has compacted 30 years of reading, training, teaching, like experiencing, and he's packed that down into 4 days for us. So yeah, we'll do our best.
Absolutely. So just to roll on from that, and I've seen Mon's written firewalking in there, and we were going to start, so we've got some notes, so forgive me for reading it. There's so much of that to take in, but where it begun was the 3 elements of practical physiology. Now, the number one was what stops us from moving forward, taking action and being our best. And to roll on from Mon saying firewalking, the number one thing is fear. And we are so afraid of everything. You know, what's going to be said about us? What do people think about us? What if we stuff up? What if this? What if that? But what if it works? You know, we're afraid of doing something, but we need to change our mind and focus on what if it works rather than what if it doesn't. And the firewalking, like that experience, I didn't even know I'd walked on coals. Like, we got ourselves, and he gets you in this state where you don't even know that it's happened. Like, and that, I don't think I've done anything that crazy before, and I can't imagine I will ever again. But we had got ourselves in the state that he'd created to believe that we were capable to walk on hot coals, and we did it. So, you know, obviously that's a metaphor for what we're capable of doing. And honestly, is talking to people and getting into action and pushing the limits and doing things you wouldn't normally do. Is it that hard if you get yourself in that state? And we'll obviously touch a little bit more on how to create that throughout the night. But yeah, that just blew us away because we weren't afraid of it at all in the slightest. By the time we got to the front of that line, we were just like, get us to the other end of it. And we got there, and I actually said to Rhia, were the coals even hot? Like, were they hot? You actually couldn't tell that because we kept ourselves in that state to be able to achieve that. Some people fell out of it and they burnt their feet. So there was a lot of people that got blisters and fell out of the state because their mind tricked them into, you know, believing they couldn't do it, and they burn themselves. So it is just insane. And I'm sure Lockie agrees from his experience that when you're in that, you know you can achieve anything that is thrown in front of you.
And lots of techniques around it, guys. And I just wanted to give a shout out to Rhys and Rach for allowing us to be in their beautiful home to run this
in
call.
Their bedroom.
The van's parked out the front here in Cronulla, so we made our way straight to the coast just to decompress today. So thanks, guys. But yeah, like we were explaining to Rhys earlier, you know, it's not as if Tony just stood up the front and said, you know, your mind is so powerful, you can do this, like, you know, and go out there. It was 5 hours of getting you ready and all sorts of different techniques, breathing, meditation, chanting, singing, jumping, dancing. You know, he even did this technique where you squeeze your fist and he gets you to think about all of the amazing experiences in your life. Not all the stories, not all the crap that gets built up in your mind. Like, it was all about breaking away those stories and, you know, even using your fist clenching as a trigger. So when you get up to that pit and you clench your fist, all you're thinking about is amazing things. And so it was incredibly powerful. But that's to give you a little bit of a, you know, a background of how that happened and why it's so important just to know that you are capable of doing such things and to empower others to do that too.
Yeah, for sure. And we've already implemented some of those techniques already, you know, today. Which we'll share a little bit more on, but there's a power move that you create and we'll share that at the end. And I highly recommend that everybody does that. I want to see Lockie's from the hospital bed. So, but
yes,
there it is. But I highly recommend it because when you feel your mind starting to wander and play tricks on you, if you can snap yourself back into that state, you can get yourself back out of it. And he got a girl up with depression or she thought she had depression, and by the end of half an hour, he'd completely blown that out of the water. And depression is a thought. So he basically said to her, why don't you think about being happy? That was basically the whole thing, you know. They kept asking, is this rocket science? And we kept going, well, no, it's not. So basically, rather than thinking unhappy thoughts, think happy thoughts. And she was smiling and a completely different person by the end of it. So obviously, he's got a lot of power. So he's good at doing that. The next thing we wanted to touch on, so you might want to take some notes here. It's up to you guys. They've got an ultimate success formula that they use. Now, it's very similar. Like, we're very blessed, and I attribute being able to walk on fire a lot to Isogenics, because we are in a great state. Like, our bodies are in a great state. We've had great training. We get it from David Wood. So his philosophy is ready, fire, aim, which is very similar to this formula. Obviously, we just got trained in some techniques to really implement that into our lives. So number one is know your outcome from the start. So it's like anything. If you want to lose 20 kilos, you've got your outcome there. You know you want to lose 20 kilos. You've got to have that goal. And it's the same with this business. How many people do you want to impact? How much money do you want to make in 12 months? Last week I said that I want to help a couple of weeks ago, 5,000 people in the next 12 months. So we have that amount there, and that's what we want to strive for. If we don't see that number moving, we have to look at what's happening and why it's not going up.
And the quote, Lovey, and we only just read it today, and I don't quote me on this actually, but it was something like, life will give you what you seek from it, or something. I'd have to check in the book. I'll put it in the page. But it's like, if you're pitching what you want to achieve at a certain level, that's what you're going to be given. So if you put it out that you want to achieve something more, then that's what's going to be given. And that was it. That's what Tony did. That was what he focused on. He was earning his 38,000. He was motivated. He had enough of how he was living, and yet put himself in a position where he just had enough. So, that's what it takes.
And to touch on that a little more, he went from earning 38 grand living in a 400 square apartment with a bed. His bed was a hammock and a mattress because it created more space for his desk. And then a guy offered him to move into this. It's literally different bits of real castles that have been created in California on the cliff. It cost him $800,000 the year. He moved into it and he was earning 38 grand. So what choice did he have? He'd set that target that he wanted that house, and he moved into it with no money. He'd saved enough money to put the little bit of deposit down, and then he had to create that income. So the second one is know your reason why. So, we're trained in that massively with Isogenics, is knowing our why. But that's the number two thing to the success formula. Number three, and this is something that's been coming up a lot lately, and this is probably a question you need to ask yourselves, is are you taking massive action? And they could not have stipulated the word massive anymore. Massive action. If you want to create abundance in 12 months, it takes more than an hour a day. It takes 5 hours a day. It takes, we're up from 9 till 2:30 in the morning, and your body can do that if you're willing to do it. We'd spent the money, we wanted to learn, and we were there. And Tony's up there. He used to do 9-day courses in a row because he wanted it. So your body can actually go through a lot more than we believe. If we tell ourselves we're tired, we go to bed. If we tell ourselves we want it more and we're awake, we're awake. So it's just insane what you can create in your own mind. Number 4 was know what you're getting. So once again, that goes back to your outcome, but it just touches a bit more on what you're actually going to get from it. If you can feel it, it's crazy once again what you can do with your mind. And number 5 was change your approach. And this one's crazy. So we know the outcome we want, and we know what we want to get, and we try one thing and then we quit because it didn't work. Try again. And try another approach and another approach and another approach. It can take 100 different approaches, and we're doing that now. Like, I'm writing down football clubs because I want to get into football clubs. It's big numbers. I love footy and I want to impact more people. So I'm now writing down ways that I can liaise with football clubs. I'm going to call their managers. I'm going to call the coaches. I'm going to keep doing it until I get good enough and comfortable enough to be able to do that. And that's all that Tony did. He read books like we all did. He has no training. He's just put himself in a position where he just kept learning and failing forward until he made $1 million in 1 year from 38 grand, which is probably less than any of us make a year. So, you know, he just shows that it's possible by taking that action. All right, you can touch on that if you like.
No, I was going to type in the quote.
Oh, Rhea's typing in a quote.
No, you just took your hand off it. That's the next one that you wanted to cover.
All right, so has everybody got notes from that? Did everybody write that down? Is that all good? Or we can write those steps in as well. I'm sure Rhia can do that. 3 beliefs on lasting success. So number 1 is it must change now. If you want it, once again, it comes back to that mind. If you just keep putting it off and off, we just keep making excuses and we're all guilty for it. I know I am. I've been talking about touching base with these footy clubs for ages. I got on the internet today and it was hard to find them because it's New South. It's not Vic. It was a little bit difficult and straight away I told myself, oh, it's too hard. Like, I can't find them. This is silly. It's not going to work. And then I caught myself out and I did my move and I'm like, no, find them. And I did. And I found numbers and names and the whole lot of everything I was looking for was there. But I probably would have stopped looking, and I had been for a month because I wanted it, but I just kept telling myself it was too hard when it wasn't. So it just had to change. Number two, I must change it now. So do you want to stipulate that a little bit more? So I must change it now.
I must change now.
Change it now.
No, I'm not sure what you wanted to talk about with that.
So I must change is obviously personal.
Sorry, yes.
I must change it now.
Yeah, I didn't say that.
No, that's okay.
Yeah, so it's quite similar. So it must change now. I must change it now. So it's just that responsibility. It's just where you're putting yourself in the position where it's not just it must change now, because it changing now is just like, oh yeah, you're kind of still leaving it up to whatever to change. But if you then go to that second step of I must change it now, it's taking responsibility. It's putting yourself in that position and going, okay, what can I do? How can I alter this?
For sure. And then number 3 is I can change it now. So the key word there is can. Once again, it's just a mindset shift. It's just ridiculous, and Tully's amazing at sharing on this stuff as well. But changing your mindset to believe you can, it's just ridiculous how your posture completely lifts. Like, did Tony Robbins just think that he might make $1 million in the year, or did he believe it, and did he chase it, and did he do whatever it took? And I think Bill Clinton saw one of his ads. That was it. He saw one of his ads. He coached Bill Clinton and it blew up his whole world, and he started coaching all the best in the world. So you've just got to believe that you can do it. If you believe, or if there's anything else in there that's telling you you can't, our brains are wired to believe that. And that's what happens. So if you can click out of that with your power move, which Lockie's going to show us at the end, you can switch that, because it happened with us today on numerous occasions, and we pulled it up, got ourselves out of it, got out of our heads and back into our hearts, and it's already changed it. Alrighty, so
I'll do the next one.
Yeah.
So, and this is again the blessing of ISA and what we have with ISA, and yeah, thanks. Oh no, I just was looking at what Jack put in. Yeah, so that's exactly right. And that quote was actually in the book too. I don't know. I saw Jackie wrote up above about how he's really helped change your life. And yeah, like, I don't know if you got the same workbook or whatever, but yeah, it's just incredible. So also, like I was saying with ISA, another part that they focused on was the power of immersion coaching. And these are 3 pointers that Tony gave to, again, just to be living an extraordinary life. And the awesome thing was that number 1, he said event blast off. And, you know, we talk about events and we talk about getting to events and, you know, the importance of them. And obviously one of the main reasons is because we could never possibly educate, train or teach in the way that the leaders do who we're blessed to have at these different events. So I know even Sydney has got an ISO uni coming up in October. Then Melbourne's blessed to have David Wood coming back for UIA. So, you know, we've got a major event for the next 2 months, which is just incredible. And if you don't have your tickets, you know, hopefully this will help you to understand why, not only for you, but for members of your team as well, is because you cannot emulate the energy that you do get at an event, and how you're immersed in the community, you're immersed in the energy, you're immersed in what is going on and the people around you and the like-mindedness and everybody really desiring to live their best life. So that's, you know, that's what he was talking about. And I just thought, gosh, that is exactly what we've got with ISA. Like, yes, we went to Tony for 4 days and, you know, we got it to a different degree, or, you know, just around different people, I guess, because there's all sorts of different entrepreneurs and business people from around the world who go. But, you know, we've got that with ISA. We've got that at our fingertips and for, you know, a fraction of the price, as you know. The second point that he gave was to get yourself a coach or a mentor to hold you accountable. Now, again, super important. I know we talk about accountability, but this is where it goes to reaching out to other people in the community, other leaders. And, you know, it's something that I always do, like something, and this is just a little side note, but after every event, I take it upon myself to personally write each and every speaker and leader who's spoken a message of gratitude about what they've spoken about, what I took from it, how it's impacted my life. Every leader, every speaker. And, you know, like sometimes they don't write back. Sometimes it takes them a while to write back. I wrote Emily Vavra one after I heard her speak at Vegas, and she only just wrote back to me just last week. So, you know, that was a month delayed, and I'm thinking, yeah, that lady, she'd probably have thousands of people in her inbox. But even to just, you know, just to be looking at who impacts you, who do you take a lot from, and who could you reach out to, you know, even just for a call or a Zoom. And if it's somebody who, you know, is able to give you that time, it might even be like a weekly Zoom or a weekly 20-minute call, just for them to keep you on track.
And don't be afraid to reach out to them, guys. Like, I've hit Adam James up to mentor me. And he was happy as Larry to do it. So find someone you resonate with that's really you feel is going to help you and build you as a leader, and reach out to them, because they are more than happy. And we've created epic relationships with people like that. We stayed with them when SKO was on. So, you know, we've created friendships with people that are outside of our teams that are massive leaders in the company. And then, of course, they're going to be willing to help, because we actually all love each other. We are literally like best friends. So push the limits with that as well. I know Rhea's always been great at that. It took me a while to do that because I didn't want to annoy people, but they love it. Just think of it yourself. If people come up and ask you for advice, it's a nice feeling. So these guys in Isogenics are next level, and they absolutely love helping.
And then the third one, for the power of immersion coaching, was the daily. Tony calls it daily prime time. Now with this, he suggests doing priming for 10 minutes twice a day. Now we can send through a priming activity for 10 minutes that Tony does, and we did over the weekend. Now he suggests that you do that very first thing in the morning. So that's his first 10 minutes of the day. Then 30 minutes of some sort of professional development, or like listening to an audio book, reading a book, listening to Tony on YouTube, or someone who an inspiring leader. So then it's 10 minutes in the morning for yourself, 30 minutes listening to somebody, so that you're filling your mind with something educational, and then 10 minutes, that might be even something like 10 minutes of just sitting in gratitude, sitting in thankfulness, just going over some affirmations for the day. So it's incredible, when you see everything that he's learned, everybody who's trained him, that he brings it down to these very simple steps. Like they kept saying, this isn't rocket science, is it? And we're like, no, it really isn't. It's just doing these basic things and being consistent with that. So that's why I really loved, those few steps. And just in answer to, oh, thanks, Mandy. She's going to pop it up in BFree. And in terms of priming, Mon, that basically just means getting you in a prime state. So getting you in a place where your energy and your vibration is at a really high level. And like that 10 minutes of priming, when you listen to it, you'll think, oh, I know that. It's just going over, like 3 gratitudes. It's focusing on your breathing. It's just focusing on really positive, uplifting things that leave you in a space of going, yeah, you know what? That's awesome. And you go, like Tony said, that he would never speak to anybody until he had done his power move and he was primed, he was in state, he was ready to go, because energy is everything. So yeah.
And just to touch on that a little bit further with what Rhia said, that's all absolutely incredible. He read 700 books in 3 years. So that's what you call total immersion. There's a reason why he went from $38,000 to $1 million, because he immersed himself in it, and then he took massive action from the stuff that he read. So we're all great at reading and listening to audio books, but are we actioning what we take out of them? Because that's a huge key into the success. We take it all in and then it all falls back out again eventually. A lot of it stays, but if we action it and immerse ourselves in it and keep doing it over and over again, then it sticks and you're a professional at it like he is. So, yeah, it's crazy. 700 books. I think I figured out it's something like a book every 2 or 3 days. It was nuts. I'm no good at maths, so don't hold me to that, Jack, or someone that's smarter than me. So the last one that I'd done a little, just highlighted here, we're all in a team, right? And their team is like clockwork at these events. It's unbelievable. They're all incredible. They pump each other up. And the secret to wealth and happiness is to become a team player. So once again, I just wanted to challenge everybody to have a look at themselves and see if they play full out as a team member. Like, we're all great. We all comment and like things and do all that. But this is next level. This doesn't even have to be in this community. There was a guy, Mike Melio, who got up on stage. He was actually Tony Robbins' left-hand stage guy for 8 years. He was just he was a volunteer. And he just took in a lot of stuff over the years, and nothing to do with Tony, but he worked at a call centre and he worked his way up the ranks there. He was making really good money, long story short, and he had a girl in there that was a drug addict, and he helped her. He just helped her. He just wanted to help. He wanted to be a team player and he wanted to help this girl out. So he did. I think he gave her some books and maybe a little bit of stuff he'd learned from Tony, and really got her clean and off the drugs and did some things with her. She had left her house and moved away from her dad, and he helped her, and she's like, what do I do? He's like, go home to your dad. So she did. He got a phone call from this big butch guy going, are you Mike Melio? I want to meet you. And he's like, okay, like, what have I done? Just tell me over the phone. He's like, no, I want to meet you. Turns out this guy is a multi-million, pushing billionaire steel manufacturer. Because this Mike Melio helped his daughter so much. He bought him a business, trained him for 7 months. Mike Melio, who was a volunteer at Tony Robbins, worked at a call center, is now a multi-millionaire because he helped one person that had nothing to do with his job, with making him money, nothing at all, but because he wanted to help someone. And he was a human and she was a human and he saw she was in trouble. So if you think you're a team player, look outside the square at where you can go next level with being a team player. And I know for us, that's really changed us already as well. It's really looking where you can help people. You know, Mike Melio's boss, he was poor. He was the same. He started broke. He was poor, living in the gutters, and his boss was swapping his 25-cent hot dogs that he had to buy off from the supermarket with sandwiches and pieces of fruit. And he never knew who it was for 40 years. The bloke rang him or emailed him and let him know about it. So look where you can help people, and what you put out will come back to you, especially in this business. You know, I was chatting to Rhia earlier, and Rhia's got incredible knowledge about nutrition. Didn't want to give too much away because we want everybody to have ISA. But if Rhia shares that with people, people are going to know, like, and trust everything he has to say. And who are they going to come back to? They're going to come back to Rhia. And we all have that ability in us. We all have something that we have to offer, whether it's giving an apple to a guy that has no money or whatever that is. Look outside and look what happens, because Tony Robbins might be a billionaire or whatever he is now, but he's probably one of the kindest blokes that we have ever met. He had photos with 150 people on stage at 2 o'clock in the morning. He cuddled, he kissed every single woman on the head and had a chat with them for 30 seconds. So he doesn't need to do that. He does not need to do that. He doesn't need any more money. His goal is to feed 1 billion people, because he was poor and a guy offered him food when he was at Christmas time when he was a little boy, and now he's just got everything that he deserves plus some. So I wanted to touch on that because I do love our community, and I feel we have the best community in the world, and people were coming to us at the event that weren't a part of it and want to be a part of it now. And we didn't try and push isogenics down their throat once. We were just us. We told them about our community, and now there's lots that are, you know, ready to join it. So, yeah, that was my last one, guys.
And my last one as well, guys, just to wrap that up, was obviously that part about being a team player and happiness. And there was one other quote that says that happiness comes from progress. Progress shows up in the form of growth, which is obviously what Jack is talking about there with execution is key, because it really does come back to actioning it so that you can grow, and in a sense of contribution. So again, just I love that. I love that that's what we are a part of with isogenics. Like, it just all kept linking in. Day 4, the whole of day 4 was just about living in an optimum state with your health. So you can only imagine, you know, going through that whole day, just going, like just the blessing that we have with ISA, and, you know, and the contribution that ISA is so focused on as well. So, yeah, just really allowing that to be a part of you, and yeah, just taking that next level, I think, is what, you know, yeah, really impacted us from the weekend.
And we, like Rhia just touched on, day 4 was all about health, not just nutrition, and we've got that side covered. So if anybody does want any extra help with that, we think we've got it down pat with ISA, but there is so much more to optimal health. And we've kicked off a 9-day cleanse, so we're going to do the 2 doubles in 9 days and the 5 shake days. So I know everybody's doing a spring cleanse. If anyone wants to take it next level, jump on board with us. And then it goes, that's that big. It goes so far further. And we've got a whole booklet here on how to take that next level and some techniques that we picked up all day yesterday. So reach out, guys. We're more than happy to jump on a separate Zoom or one-on-one stuff if anybody wants to learn how to really go next level, because this stuff can't just stay in our book. Everybody needs to know this, and we'd love to share it. I can see Mans with their hands up. More than happy. As who else we got there? Claire as well. So just reach out, guys, this stuff, and then get to the event. Please do yourselves a favour and look when the next one is. Save your money. Do whatever. Like, we're spending money we barely have to go to these events because we know and we've met the people and heard the stories of why they're where they're at, and that's because of Tony Robbins and the things that he's taught them. So definitely do yourself a favour. I think we've lost Tull. If anyone has any questions, feel free to unmute and hit us up. Otherwise, we'll probably roll because that's about all we've got at the moment.
That was amazing, you guys.
Thanks, man.
Amazing. I can only imagine the energy that comes from that.
Yeah, it's crazy. You've just got to imagine a 6'7", the biggest giant I've ever seen in my life, with the biggest smile that gets off on helping people. I think the end of day 3, he got the water guns out and people were throwing water on him, and he was in the crowd and he was just legitimately happy from seeing everybody else happy. That's his goal in life, is just to see people happy. So if we can harness that energy and forgiveness, gratitude, like, we've all got to do that, because it's the 4 days is about energy. Like, if that was basically what it was about creating energy, because you can't help people if you're not full of energy. And there's so many different things that we need to let go of to enable that energy to really shine. I know for us, we're just so happy and blessed and thankful and all of those things now, and forgiveness is up there, and just gratitude every day, and just feeling beautiful. Like, he calls it a beautiful state, and you can get yourself into that like that. You think a happy thought rather than a sad thought, and get yourself out of it, and life changes really quick.
Awesome.
So can I quickly just ask, obviously non-comparable from your 4-day immersion to, say, the 4 hours that he covered in Vegas. Did you feel as though there was a lot of stuff that you picked up from that 4 hours that he just kind of really drew out in a longer period of time, really, or there was just so much more to it?
The 4 hours was incredible. Like, obviously what we took from that was huge, and anybody else that saw it. The 4 days times that by 1,000,000. I suppose, like, the techniques we learn and the stuff we let go of that we didn't really know needed to be let. Like, I know for me, he had 6,000 people bawling their eyes out for about an hour, and there was stuff that came up from the bottom of my soul that I didn't even know was still there, and things from the bottom of my soul that I didn't know would quite possibly affect my future. That's probably the key thing there, because we live in the past a bit, and the future's the key. Like, that's where we're going. So I know letting go of stuff like that I didn't know could possibly affect it. I don't know whether it would have, but to see that, and to see, like, he gets you in some full-on states. Like, it's not all roses and happy and laughing. Like, you've got to go into those deep states of sadness and anger to know that it's in there, to let it out. So there was some things that I know for me, and I'm sure for Rhia, and I could definitely hear from other people that were in there that needed to go. And that just knowing that that's gone now, and being able to click our fingers or hit our chest or create it, it's insane.
And something that you guys can take as well, like that I'd love to finish on, just so that you can feel like you can have ownership over that as well, is like he kept, Lovey's saying, like, click of a finger, like he kept saying, how quickly can you change your state? In a heartbeat. And one thing that he did put up was a slide, and it said, in just 2 minutes in a high power pose. So he got us to have, and we were going to get Lockie to demonstrate in the hospital, but a pose that makes you feel powerful. So what was yours, Lovey?
Yes.
so, so his was like a fist pump, and mine was like I was standing with my feet out, and I would just put my fist down, like yes, like it was just, and a lot of people were doing like a yes, like a punch up or something like that. But he was saying that 2 minutes in a power pose, in a high power pose, increases testosterone by 20%, decreases stress hormone cortisol by 25%, and your risk tolerance increases by 33%. So, you know, those sorts of stats alone just helps you to go, like, if you're in a bit of a state, you're in a bit of a, you know, something's happened, like, you just, you get yourself in a position where you just high power pose just to really help to increase, you know, what's going on. And that helps, you know, yeah, what we did in terms of that heartbeat, change your state.
And that's some of that stuff I mentioned earlier with our nutrition's great, but stress and all those other things are in our bodies. They can really, really, yeah. I'm looking forward to just tracking this next 9 days. We're actually going to go get all our blood tests done and really put into action a lot of the stuff that we just learn and just see the big change in that, because it's undescribable, some of the stuff that we went through over the weekend and some of the feelings that we've never felt before. You know, if you don't train it and you don't immerse yourself in it and you don't get around those types of people, you just, it's impossible to do it. So we're definitely living sub-maximal. We live great, and like he said, 98% of the world would love to be where we were and the way we were feeling, but to know that we can go a whole new level, you can only imagine what that feeling's like and what it's like for other people around you and the energy that gets drawn into you, because we did an energy thing with an Asian guy, and that was ridiculously crazy as well, because we are all energy as well. So once you're pushing out love and light, you can only imagine what comes back in. Cool, guys. Has anybody got anything else? Otherwise, we might jump off and Rhia can go to bed.
Thanks, guys.
All good.
Awesome to see you.
Yeah, so grateful. Thanks so much, guys.
Thanks, guys. It was rad.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys. Awesome. Thank you very much.
There you go.
Good.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys. Night.
Start the cloud recording.